Hi, everyone. Yvonne Lee-Hawkins here, founder of Burnout Proof Coaching. Thanks for kicking off September with me. September is self-care month. So happy September 1st. Just wanted to appreciate you for taking some time out today to take a little lesson on self-care. The things I want to talk about today are my top 5 stress busters. If you're in an absolute meltdown, these are things that will work to knock you out of it. Often what I find in working with my clients is that first we have to stop the bleeding. First we have to get out of that absolute fight or flight mentality. And so we use a lot of these tools that I'm going to share with you shortly. And then this is just your reminder that self-care isn't just something you do for Mother's Day or your birthday or a spa day that you do once or twice a year. While all those things are wonderful, self-care is really something that you have to do consistently. You have to do in little pieces every single day, and small steps add up. Okay. Well, again, welcome. Thanks for being here. And we'll go into my top 5 stress busters. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Or maybe not. Here we go. It's my very first live session sharing, so bear with me while I work out the technology. Okay, so my top 5 stress busters. We'll start right here. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can put this in presentation mode. And then if you can still see me. Okay, we'll make it work like this. Gotta love new technology. Anyway, top 5 stress busters. So my very first one, and you're not gonna love this one. Most people don't love it, but it absolutely works. If you are having an exasperated heart rate, if you are in panic mode, if you are just in a bad place that needs to be disrupted, a cold plunge will knock you out of it. It's the fastest thing that I know of that works. And the thing about a cold plunge is you don't have to live in the Arctic. You don't have to jump into a body of ice water. You don't even really need ice. So with a cold plunge, it doesn't have to be full immersion. You don't have to jump all the way in. It doesn't have to be full body at all. It can be a cold shower. It can be, and this is my favorite way to do a cold plunge, just putting some cold water in a bathtub and even just submerging, the bottom half will trigger your body's stress response to kind of bring you back into your current state and make you really focus on breathing. The reason the cold plunge works so well is because it focuses your body on kind of survival, and you will start to just focus on your breathing. And once you're able to get your body under control, your breathing starts to normalize. Everything starts to become more in the moment. And this is why it's such a great stress buster. It's also really great to do after cardio, after any kind of exertion exercise. Research is suggesting that it's not as great after weight training because while it's great for muscle recovery, it actually can help your muscles recover so fast that you're actually not getting the benefit of weight training. So I would recommend doing this after cardio, running, cycling, HIIT training, but I would not do it right after weight training if you're trying to get muscle gains. But again, it does not have to be full immersion. It can be a dip under the cold shower. And the other interesting thing is research is starting to figure out the difference between men and women. Oftentimes, women have been excluded from medical research, but they're finding that women don't even need the water to be all that cold. So for men, they found that the best benefit is if the water is 50 degrees or lower. So the benefits begin at 50 degrees and then 49, 48. But for women, it's actually 60 degrees, which is interesting because 60 degrees is not that cold. So you can generally get a nice cold plunge if you're a woman just in your regular bathtub water. You don't even have to add ice. Now, if it's the middle of the summer, you might need to because it'll be hot. Okay, so that is our first stress buster, cold plunge. Now, I realize you don't always have access to a cold plunge in the middle of the day. If you're having a panic attack at work, a cold plunge is not going to be great. However, you can get some benefits that uses the same kind of science. You can go in the bathroom and splash ice cold water on your face. You can put your hands, submerge them in ice cold water, in like a bucket of ice water, and it will have not the same effect, but similar effect where it starts to bring your consciousness back into your body. Okay, my second stress buster in the top 5 is movement. Of course, my absolute favorite, movement is medicine. You'll often hear me say, I didn't make that up. I heard it someplace else. I think probably from my favorite Peloton instructors. But movement absolutely is medicine. So getting in some movement, you don't have to run a marathon for it to count. Many, many years ago, probably about 2 decades ago, a trainer convinced me, if you can just get 7 minutes on the treadmill, it's enough. It's really more about starting. So put a goal out there. I'm only going to get on for 10 minutes. Even 10 minutes a day adds up over time. One thing that I do with my clients is if we're tracking how we're feeling as far as stress before and after movement, I'll have them on a scale of 1 to 10, note down how they feel before they get on a treadmill or a bicycle or whatever movement we've decided they're going to do. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your emotional state? Let's say it's a 5 or a 6 when you wake up first thing in the morning. Then do 10 minutes of movement, running, jogging, fast-paced walking, incline walking, cycling, and then measure again, where's your mood on a scale of 1 to 10. And I would say 99% of the time, my clients see an increase of at least 1. If you were a 5, you're now a 6. If you're a 6, maybe now you're an 8. It is very, very effective. It helps to get your blood pumping. It helps to get your mind going. So movement is an absolute must when it comes to self-care. And again, it doesn't have to be very intense. It can be as simple as a 10-minute walk on an incline of 1 or 2 on a treadmill. All right, number 3 is a breather. Breathing. There's a lot that's come out recently with breath work. You might be familiar with the terminology breath work. And there's a bunch of different types of breathing that can be helpful. I'm just going to cover one today that is my favorite. I call it the 4-7-8 method. It has been shown to really help take an anxiety or panic attack and be able to shut it down. And the way it works is it's breathing in for a count of 4. We'll do it together in just a minute. Holding for a count of 7, and then breathing out for a count of 8. And the reason this ratio is super important is there's research that shows it's not just about the amount of oxygen that your body intakes, but it's about the amount of CO2 that your body releases that helps with stress release. And so in this, you see you're taking in for a count of 4, and then you're holding, but you're actually expelling CO2 or your out breath for double the amount that you're intaking. And that helps to release the stress. It helps to bring down your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormones. So let's do this one together. We're going to breathe in for a count of 4. So in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can do this for a minimum of about 4 counts. We just did it twice, so do it 2 more times on your own. Minimum of 4 times is really kind of the minimum for it to be effective. It's best to do this one actually sitting down because you can get a little bit dizzy if you're like in a heightened breathing rate when you're anxious or, going through kind of stress. So yeah, 4 counts of this. It's also an excellent breathing technique to do right before bedtime. Do 4 to 6 cycles of this right before bedtime, and it helps to calm your body down enough where you are then able to, rest and go to sleep. So yes, taking a breather. All right, moving on. My 4th top 5 stress busters is EFT tapping. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, something you can look up on your own. There are full companies who just focus on EFT tapping. So I just want to introduce the topic to you. EFT tapping is it's a powerful stress relief technique based on both Chinese acupressure points and modern psychology. So it kind of takes those 2 things together and has figured out a way to stimulate your body in such a way to release stress and kind of bring yourself back into the present moment. I'll just talk through how it works. We won't do it together. Maybe in the future I'll do a full session on EFT tapping, but I just want you to be aware that it exists. The way EFT tapping is generally done is you start with, they call it the karate chop point or the lateral point of your hand. And you start with some kind of statement and you tap there. It can be something like, even though I'm extremely stressed out, I can make self-care a priority. Or even though I've had a really rough day, I can take a few minutes to self-care. So you start with some sort of statements. That's the only time you tap is in the beginning. Then you go through a round of 8 different pressure points. And the points are above your eyebrow, on the side of your eye, under your nose, under your mouth, on your collarbone, on your armpit, and then the top of your head. That is 1 cycle. You can do anywhere from 3 to 5 cycles, and it will bring you into your body. It's touching specific meridians in your nervous system that help you to really tap into, pun intended, your body and your present moment. I was really impressed a number of years ago. They were teaching this technique in my daughter's elementary school. They were teaching them meditation and EFT tapping, and I was so impressed because kids have a hard time regulating themselves, and this is a really great way when you're stressed or anxious to regulate yourself. So that one is EFT tapping. We'll cover more on that on another time, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. And then my 5th top 5 stress buster is what I call the rule of 5. I use this one frequently. I use it often with my clients when we begin a session, because when clients come to meet with me, they're rushing from work or they're rushing from one meeting to another. I'm also rushing from, one client to another. So we're all busy. And so I really like using the rule of 5 to bring you back into the present moment. And what the rule of 5 consists of is naming 5 things you can see. So it's using all 5 of your senses. So 5 things you can see. So for me, for example, right now, I can see a painting on the wall. I can see my monitor. That's 2. I can see my door. There's 3. I can see trees out the window, that's 4, and I can see my keyboard, so that's 5. So I'm being present and aware of 5 things I can see in my environment. Then we go to 4 things that you can touch. And very similar, within arm's reach, I can touch my desk, I can touch the wall, I can touch my bookcase, I can touch my computer mouse, and I can touch my, but that was 4 right there, my computer mouse. So 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch. Then we move on to 3 things you can hear. This might take a little bit. So right now I can hear the fan going. I have a fan going on in my office. If I pay attention, I can actually hear planes going overhead, and I can hear traffic outside. So those are 3 things that I can hear that brings me back in my current environment. Then we move on to 2 things you can smell. This one's a little harder. I'm still getting over a cold. So I can smell right now the coconut chapstick that I'm wearing. I can smell that. And I can smell coffee. So those are 2 things that I smell. And then down to 1 thing you can taste. And for me right now, I can taste lime in my water. Also hydrate. Hydrate is a good stress reliever. But so bringing you into that rule of 5 brings you into your current environment. So that's the rule of 5. So again, going through my top 5, these things work very, very well. Cold plunge, if you have access to it. If not, some cold water. Moving your body, always a great one. It's a great way to start your day. Taking a breather. 4-7-8 is just one breathing technique that can get you out of stress. There are many others. That one is my favorite. Again, it's also great before bedtime. Using EFT tapping is a way to get yourself in the present moment and release stress. And then the rule of 5. Again, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And those are my top 5 stress busters to kick off our self-care month. So I really appreciate you. Thank you for spending, 20 minutes with me today on a Sunday. Happy September. I don't know about you, but as a parent, I am super excited for school to start. My kids go back to school this week. I always love September and the beginning of a new school season because it's like a fresh start. We're getting into routines, which are super helpful. And it's like, at least where I live in the northern hemisphere on the west coast of the United States, it's my favorite time of year where it's no longer super hot. The leaves are starting to change colors. So I absolutely love September. I love that it is self-care month, and this is just your reminder to make sure that you take good care of yourself on not only this month, but really every single day. And it's just a little bit every day. I'll be sharing self-care tips throughout the month of September. I will also plan to go live several more times this month because it's good practice and I love spending time with you. So yeah, anyway, happy September. I'd love to hear how you're doing in self-care, what you're doing to take care of yourself today and the rest of this month. And that's it. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. If you're in the US, have a wonderful Labor Day. I hope you get some extra time on this vacation or holiday weekend to spend some time for some self-care, some time with friends and family. And I will see you soon.